Welcome to the Education Exchange. I'm your host, Jeremy Calles, Superintendent of the Tolleson Union High School District. And with me today is Marjorie and Trinetta to talk about JAG. So let's start off first with your introduction and then tell us, like, what is JAG and what's the history of JAG and its connection to Tolleson?
Sure. Thank you so much for having us here. My name is Marjorie DeRubeis, and I am the President and CEO of Jobs for Arizona's Graduates.
My name is Trinetta Lipsey, Director of Programs and Training with JAG.
And so what is JAG and what's the longstanding history of JAG being here at the Tolleson Union High School District?
So JAG is first I should say it's part of a national program. There are actually 39 states that have a JAG program in their states. Even though they're all run a little differently, the Arizona chapter has been one of the longest standing JAG programs that it's in. We've been servicing students in Arizona for over 43 years, and we were the second JAG in the whole union of JAG National. And so JAG is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that partners with school districts, business communities. We partner with private sectors and other nonprofits to help to ensure the success of our mission, which is basically to make sure that young people stay and are successful in school, and we make sure that they have all the tools they need to succeed both in academics, personal, vocationally, and in leadership skills upon graduation, to make sure that they're successful, they get to graduation, and they succeed after graduation.
JAG in Tolleson, you cannot not mention, one, Dr. Kino Flores, who helped bring JAG to the community, and then Graciela Garcia Candia. And Graciela had a long standing with this community because she was one of the first JAG specialists in this community. She became a JAG administrator, and JAG had separated from Tolleson for a very short period of time, but it was her that helped bring JAG back to this community and I think it was around between 2010 and 2014. That's kind of where JAG had separated, but then came back. And so she is a very big part of the history of JAG in Tolleson. And so we definitely cannot leave this table without mentioning her. And we currently have we have one national officer, and she is from Tolleson, and she represents not only Arizona, but she represents the entire United States when it comes to Jobs for America's graduates. So she represents JAG Arizona, but Jobs for America's graduates. And we also have had what year are we in?
We're in 24, so it was
22. Jenna Flores from West Point High School was the JAG National Secretary. So they were both elected at the same time. And Frida Medrano Ibarra was the president-elect and now the current president of the JAG National Career Association. And so when you talk about being super proud of this community and the young people that you serve, Frida will have an opportunity to tell her story, but she came into the program with her own obstacles. And Nicole Porter, who is also a JAG alum and now currently working with JAG, she saw something special in Frida, and she's like, you gotta run. You gotta run for this office. And Frida not really understanding, I don't think she even got an entire gist of what she really committed to. But once they called Jenna's name. I was present, which was, it still makes the hairs on my arm stand up. But they called Jenna's name first, and then they call Frida's name. But so Arizona didn't get one, but they got two officers
of the four.
Two of the four officers from the same district, and that is Tolleson. So it's something to be super proud of, and they have served our country well, which is just amazing.
Well, let's talk about some of those benefits. So you're a student. You joined JAG. What are some of those tangible benefits that they're getting as being a part of JAG? Like what exactly are they being taught? What's being made available to them? What are some of those items that they can expect?
So when a student joins JAG, the first thing we want to help them figure out is what they're passionate about. We want to know what you're passionate about to help you discover what that purpose is that you have in life and how to turn that purpose into profit. So how do we do that? We do career exploration with students. They will have guest speakers come into the classroom. They go on field trips. And we start by having them take a career assessment. And we want them to take a career assessment. That's the paperwork of it. But at the same time, they are joining not only a program, but they're joining a club with their peers. As they discover what they're passionate about, they can also share with their peers and have them advocate one for each other, because we also need students to, we're working on their, getting tongue-tied here, but we're working on the students' skills and also trying to help them with their trauma-informed practices so that students are learning how to take care of themselves as they discover who it is that they want to be. And then at the same time, if you say that I want to be, what did you want to be when you were a kid?
Oh, I had a lot of things. I didn't want to be just one thing. I wanted to play in the NFL. I wanted to record music. Just really just depending on what day of the week you caught me on. I wanted to be something else.
So let's start with the one with the NFL. You say you want to be in the NFL. Are you currently playing football in high school?
Well, I was at the time when I was really set on being in the NFL. I was playing football. I wouldn't say that I was a star.
Mm-hmm.
I was on the team and I played and I was first string. I wasn't exactly NFL material. I just didn't know it back then.
So in that case, then you might be having football more of a hobby, not necessarily as a career. So those are things that we're going to point out. But at the same time, you said you enjoyed music as well, right?
Yes, I love to write music, especially. I recorded a few songs, never got anywhere with it, but
Okay,
I
so
enjoyed
that's
music.
something else that might be a hobby and not necessarily a career. So as a student, you need to understand the things that you enjoy doing and then the things that might be able to help support you. And at the same time, too, we're helping you figure out what of those skills are transferable skills. And so some of those skills in football, you still had to be a team player. In music, if you're going to be a part of a band, you're still going to be a team player. So the one thing that we can say about you is that you're definitely a team player then, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I try to be a team player everywhere I go.
Okay. So in that case, now we can work with that and try and help you figure out what it is you want to do. So we have 3 pillars, and that is trauma-informed practices, that is employability skills, and then also project-based learning. So we want to make sure that you understand that you're learning by doing projects. You're learning when you're playing football. You have to learn routes. That's math. So there are a lot of things that students don't understand you're learning on a day-to-day basis, that are skills that are transferred to the workplace.
So you said one of the first things you guys do is a career assessment. Is that a like an aptitude test, kind of similar to what the military does before they give you a job assignment? They have you do this aptitude test and say
Yes.
you would actually be good at all of these different things. You may want to play in the NFL. You didn't qualify for that, but look at all these other jobs you could choose from. Like, is that kind of the first step with a JAG student?
Definitely. So with we have students take the ASVAB. We have students, they may take Cooter, they made their ASU runs a career assessment that they can take. So just so they take the assessment and they understand, if it comes across that for my assessments, it's nursing. I cannot stand the sight of blood, vomit, bodily fluids. If you throw up, I'm probably going to throw up too. So I knew nursing wasn't for me, but also under that line was education and teaching. So that may be a place that I can discover what it is that I want to do through that assessment. And now we have nurses come into the classroom and share how many nurses you can be. So there are nurses that are in the ER. There are nurses that are in pediatrics. There are nurses in a multitude of areas. When you think about a hospital, it's a city. And so there are other ways that you can help in the health field without necessarily being in contact with patients or having to look at bodily fluids, which, I wouldn't have been able to do. But I know that with those other list of career opportunities that came from my assessment, that there might be something else that I could do.
And with the students, so when they finish, how does that process look for the student now? So they finish this assessment. You have this list of things that you believe that they could be good at. And then who is it? Is it the sponsor that's at the site that's then walking through the conversation with them on let's talk about what your assessment revealed about you, and let's have a conversation on these jobs, what's included with them, and start narrowing it down for you on some things that might be your interest after high school. Like, how does that conversation go?
So that conversation goes just the way you started it. So we take a look at the assessment. We have one-on-one time with the student, and it's the JAG specialist that's in the classroom.
Okay.
And the beautiful thing about being in Tolleson is that all students have access to JAG. They'll have access to JAG not only at the middle school level, the high school level, and if they can't take JAG at the high school level, they'll be able to be a part of the community-based program here. So that's a great opportunity for young people in the city of Tolleson to be able to take advantage of JAG at every level. So once they have gone through that assessment, the students take a look at the list and maybe circle some of the things that might be of interest to them. Now we want to put that student in touch with somebody in that real life industry to say, this is who you want to be. Let's see if we can get a guest speaker in here, or maybe we need to go on a field trip. Sometimes it might be virtual that we're taking a look at those people, because we might not be able to. You want to be a nurse in Canada. Why Canada? I don't know. I just want to go to Canada. It has 4 seasons. I think I want to go to Canada. Okay, well, let's take a look at that. And so we're able to do that virtually sometimes. Sometimes it might be a family member that we know and that you want to go to Canada because my uncle went to Canada and he visited Canada and he is a nurse in Canada. Now we're going to bring Uncle into the classroom too to talk about his experience in becoming a nurse. And then from there, we help that student figure out then what is the education process with becoming a nurse. Now, what classes are you going to have to take? What classes have you taken in high school? Maybe what classes you need to take as if there is, what's the word I'm looking for? Dual credits. Sometimes students in high school are looking for dual credits, or they want to go to West Meg. That's another opportunity. So I know within Arizona, you have that opportunity to kind of start early. But once you've done that, now we take a look at that route in regards to how you should move forward with your education. So you don't want to go to a 4-year college. That's okay. You can go to a 2-year and start. And we can start with community college, and we have the students take a look at the community college opportunities here, because the students said they want to go to Canada, but we want them to look at the community colleges in Canada too, or whatever universities might be available for that student, so that we can help them see the pathway that they have to making sure that they become that nurse that they want to be.
And one of the things that is great about being part of JAG there are certain advantages to being part of the program. Even though I feel that so many of the public don't really know or understand what we do, people who work with us really get it. And that includes like our community partners and our businesses that we work with. And so Bank of America has come up with literally a VR headset way of teaching people how to finance things. And they do a whole study, and it's interactive. And so we're one of the first people that they actually gave. So every single one of our schools, every program got 2 VR headsets so that their students can interact with this. And that's something that's not even available to anyone else, even at the school that they might be in if they're not a JAG student. The other thing is with our connections at ASU, they too have a wonderful career exploration, and it's through the VR headsets as well. And they want to work with our students. We're the second, outside of ASU, high school, preparatory school, we are the first students that will have access to this program that's both on a laptop and virtual, where students get to explore virtually and see what it's like to be a nurse or be a construction worker or be an engineer, different kinds of engineering. So it's a wonderful thing that they've just developed, and our students are going to be the first ones to take advantage of that kind of technology.
Oh, that's wonderful. So
It
you
is.
have the VR headsets that can simulate the experience of
Yes.
actually holding that position. You have
Yes.
these meetings that you're setting up either in person or virtually with people who are actually successful in these career paths that the students want to go after. On those meetings, how does that format look? Is it like a Q&A session? Does the person start off giving a presentation telling the students about, hey, this is what it looks like to work in this industry, and then open it up to them to answer their questions?
They do that as well as share their story. You are the superintendent, but you had a route to get here. And it did not start with, oh, I'm the superintendent today. You had a
Football.
route.
I absolutely did not go A to B. I do not recommend my path. If this is where you want to
Most
be,
of us did not
there
go
is
A
a
to B.
there is a much more efficient. I took the like windy road that took the back streets and eventually ended up here. Like I would have a better recommendation for people who wanted to go down this road.
So, what was your first job?
Well, my first job was at 11. I was delivering newspapers on
Okay.
my bike. So I was you know, I did that job for like 3 years, delivering newspapers through the neighborhood. And I don't think people actually read the paper anymore. So I don't think anyone's going to be starting there anymore. I don't know. I don't see kids on bicycles delivering newspapers like they were back then.
But what skills do you feel like you learned from delivering papers?
Well, definitely punctuality, because when we're going over there to fold the papers and start stuffing them into our bags to go deliver them, we had to be there at a set time every day. So punctuality and commitment, because when you have a 7-day-a-week job, even if you're only working for like an hour or so, it is still like all of your plans now are circling around the fact that you have a job that you have to go be at. So, yeah, definitely a lot of that stuff was set in early. But growing up in a family that didn't really have much money, when I started to make my own money at 11, where I could actually, if I wanted something, I could buy it, that I didn't have to be dependent on my mom. I'm like, no, I can make my own money, and if I want to buy a pack of baseball cards, I'll make the money for my own pack of baseball cards. Like that was.
And how proud were
that was-
you of
Yeah.
that?
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
I was convinced early on that I wasn't going to have to be dependent on anyone else. I'll just work hard. I'll figure out how
Great
to get there
lesson to
myself.
learn at a very young age.
Yeah.
And then after that, what was another job?
Subway at 15, started working at Subway. So I did that for a while. I also unloaded trucks. So I'm pretty sure anything's exceeded statute of limitations, but you were supposed to be 18 to unload trucks. At one time when I went to go unload a truck, they looked at me and they're like, "You don't look 18." I was like, and then I was like, I go, "How is that gonna be an issue?" I'm like, I work hard. And they're like, "Do me a favor, take this Sharpie, write 18 on the bottom of your shoe. Anybody asks you, you tell them you're standing on 18 and you won't be lying." I was like, "That'll work." I was like, "Just take me to the truck. I'll unload
That's
it."
so funny.
So those are the things we want you to share when you come visit a JAG classroom. We want you to tell the entire story, not just the superintendent side of the story, but sharing with students that you didn't get here just yesterday. You had to have a path. There were jobs that you took that probably weren't the greatest, but there were jobs that you learned from. And then you were able to use those skills to help get you to this point. So in sharing those stories with young people, when you come into the classroom, they need to see that you're a whole person, that everything hasn't. You put on a great suit, you wear a suit well, but it doesn't mean that there weren't days that I'm sure when you were unpacking and unloading trucks, that wasn't in a suit. That was in sneakers and jeans, and you
Gym
were there
shorts.
to.
I was a gym shorts fan for a good portion of my life. Where like if you saw me, I was in gym shorts and t-shirts
Okay.
like all the time.
Okay. And in that job, you learned skills from that job that help catapult you to where you are. So those
Absolutely.
are the things that we want a guest speaker to come into the JAG classroom and share. And the students generally, with the support of their specialists, they have questions. And that's something that we prep students for before their speakers come into the classroom. What do you think you want to know when the speaker comes in here? What are some of the things that are going to help you make a decision on a job that you may have? And so we're providing exposure to all students, but then from there may be 3 or 4 students that you want to come and have a walkthrough, or they want to take a day in the life of the superintendent. And then from that point, maybe then it's an internship. So our goal is to make sure that our students find employment in areas that will help be stackable skills, so that if they take an internship with you, in the summer, then maybe it's something that, yes, they want to go into ASU and go into education in the fall, or they say, you know what, that job is really too much. And I don't think this is the route that I want to go.
Mhm.
But for them to make a decision on what it is that they want to do by having discussions with everyday people that are
Absolutely.
helping change and support the community.
You know, just recently we had a big event, and one of the speakers was the president of a local college. And she spoke to the group, and, you know, in a way, when you first see her, she might look a little unapproachable, so the students might not connect with her. But she got up and spoke about her truth, and her truth was about literally as a child going from one foster group home to another. I was shocked and stunned that this was her history. That she would take her lunch and go into a corner in a bathroom because she didn't have any friends or didn't know how to connect with people. And then for our students to actually understand, because sometimes you don't see the pathway to success, you haven't seen it around you. You might not have seen it in your family. You're not sure if that's for you. And there are just these things, these expectations that our students sometimes have for themselves that are inaccurate. They don't realize all the potential that they have. And for us to be able to show them what a great big world this is and the potential they all have within themselves, and then to connect them with people that they actually see like, oh my goodness, look at where she is and look at what she's doing, and she's coming from a background that may make mine look luxurious, you know? So they're able to connect with people and actually see a future for themselves that they never saw before. And that, I think, is one of the big magic pills that JAG provides to many of our students.
Oh yeah, it sounds phenomenal. Now, for a student, you know, these are high school students. Obviously, as well intended as we are, we're trying to give them all these great opportunities to give them a great foundation for success and for the rest of their life. We know we're competing for their attention, and these high school students, they have plenty of things that they want to do after school. They have plenty of things they want to do during class. Like, we have to put your cell phone away, quit looking at.
Yeah.
So we're constantly competing with these students for their attention, with them not fully understanding all the time that it is for their best interest. What does a time commitment look like for a student that is going to be a part of JAG? Like, is this they're meeting daily, weekly, an hour at a time, 3 hours at a time, attending different events all over the state? Like,
Mhm.
what exactly does that commitment look like for a student when they say, because if you sign up for football, you get a schedule and your
Right.
practice dates.
Right.
Like, when you sign up for JAG, what exactly does that schedule look like for a student?
And I'll let Trinetta talk about the extra things, but I can start with
Okay.
first the students. One of the ways that I think JAG works and is so beautiful, and we do have different models, like Trinetta had mentioned. We have the middle school program, high school program, and then we even have community-based programs. So, but predominantly, most of our programs are the high school programs. In the high school programs, students actually take JAG as they do a class. So just like they're in math or they're in science, they're in JAG. So it's written into their schedule and they take it as an elective class. So in that sense, it's great for students because I know a lot of our students have other responsibilities after class. They might want to play football. They might have to work in order to help their family um, survive. So it does not take away from those responsibilities. And also they get a credit towards graduation, which makes it even more valuable because it is valuable. They're getting so much out of this program and it does so much for their futures, but they get to take it not like an extracurricular activity. The other thing that I think is wonderful is that we make sure that we help every single student, and one of the ways that we're able to do it is there are no requirements to becoming part of JAG. You have to want, need it, and be able to benefit from the program. Those are the only requirements. And you have maybe you have an obstacle or two that the school has identified as perhaps you have some challenges to get to graduation. So the way the program works is actually the students don't self-select, but it's the school that creates a committee made up of teachers or counselors, other people that know the student population, and they actually nominate the students for the program, which is, I think, one of the best parts of the program too. we're not picking, like the best students or, all these straight A students so that they're the ones that are benefiting from it. It's really the school that is collectively, well, like we said, we work with the community, we work with the districts, and it's a partnership. And so we're helping, and as well as the teachers that are teaching it, the specialists are employees of the district. So they're already people that sometimes are already in the schools or the school has hired, and they know the community. So it's a wraparound service because they already are familiar with the particular needs of the community, of the students. And we work with the business sector to make sure that we know what kind of businesses in the town or what are they looking for so that we can also inform our students what's needed in the program. And then the other part of the question was
all the extra events. So I know I've been out to
yes,
Jagapalooza. I've been out to the
yes.
kickoff breakfast. Like, how many of these extra special events is a JAG student signing up for? And is it expected that all of these extra events that JAG has throughout the year, that all JAG students should be at the extra events, or is it, if you want to, an optional type of thing?
So to answer that, JAG is not only a class, but it's a club. And there is what we call career association. And the career association is student led. So the students develop the plan of work, which are the things that they plan to do throughout the entire school year to implement the career association. So if the students decide, there are some events that we have that are required with JAG. The Jagapalooza, some students may say that we want our Jagapalooza to be student facing, which means that they want to invite only students to their Jagapalooza because they want to use it as a recruitment tool. Others may say our administration and our teachers on our campus don't really know a lot about JAG. And so we would like to make our Jagapalooza one that is bringing the teachers and administration as their audience. And then there may be a Jagapalooza that is community-based. And that means that the students say that we are going to have our Jagapalooza during homecoming or during an event that is allowing all students to see what JAG is. So those events we do require because it helps expose JAG to the community. The students also have their I&I, which is required by us in regards to they take an initiation and an oath into the program. The officers, they elect officers, is very similar to student council. So they elect officers in their JAG class. But just like Marjorie said, with it being embedded into the school day, they can have those events. They can schedule the events during school time if it allows. They can meet during their school day. So they may have teaching on, as far as facilitating education on Mondays. They may have a guest speaker on Tuesdays. Wednesdays is their career association time where the students lead the activities and they lead the meetings. And then we go back to Thursdays where there may be academic time where we're going to have students take a look at the other classes because JAG is first off about graduating. So if you're not doing well in your other classes, taking field trips, we may not always be able to take a student on a field trip because they need to be in school to prepare for those other classes. So that schedule is developed by the specialist, but it's also developed by the students because they take ownership of that plan of work and they implement the activities. So the number of activities that a program has, it's based on the students and what they feel that they want to accomplish. We ask each program to have 10 hours of community service every year. One of our students last year had 80 hours of community service. These are challenges that they put on themselves, not ones that we put on them. But as far as encouraging them, they have their own goals. You visit some of the campuses and the students share what their plan of work is during their initiation ceremonies. And they tell you what activities they plan to do. JAG National has asked us all to work on supporting the unsheltered this year. And so many students have projects that they're going to be asking their community to participate in about helping the unsheltered. Maybe it's a sock drive. Maybe it's a blanket drive. Maybe it's a food drive. It looks different on every campus. Maybe it's that they want to have exposure for their entire campus to understand what homeless people or unsheltered people go through. it looks different for every group of students, but we just ask them, we say, this is a project that we need from you. We want you to do a Jagapalooza, but then you have free reign to say what that Jagapalooza looks like. So every student could possibly participate in an activity, but not always. And they don't always have to. If you have a job after school, or if you are on the football team, does it mean you can't be in JAG? No. It means that we work around that to help you figure out which activities you can participate in and maybe which ones you can't. But if you are attending a community event yourself, and it may not be the entire group, and I'm going to do community service with my family this weekend, we can count that as service done as well. So we try to work with students to help them embed JAG into their lives and also be a part of the community and bring those projects, bring them to life is to whatever it is that they want to do.
So regardless of what a student's situation is, what other extracurricular activities are involved in, or what other family commitments they have after school, they should all feel like they could be able to participate in JAG, and that's not going to be a barrier for them. And you know, you had mentioned, JAG is a class; it's an elective class. Classes have class sizes. We only give so many sections to each teacher. Have you run across any instances of where a student wants to be in JAG and we're like, actually, JAG is full. Can you pick a different elective, and maybe next year we'll get you in JAG? Like, does that ever happen?
It does. It's okay. So, JAG specialist, we try to keep the range at about 50 to 60 students per specialist, and that's because specialists are also working with students and trying to help them remove barriers that they may be facing and those obstacles. We also work with students a year after they graduate. We're seniors, because if they don't graduate, then we still want to work with them to make sure they do graduate. And so not only do they have that 50 or 60, they may have up to 25 that they're also doing follow-up services with to make sure that student is on that career path that they talked about when they were in high school. And if the career path changes, then how do we help you navigate these changes and still figure out something to do, and that you're not just sitting at home idle doing nothing? So that happens with students as well. So if a student can't take JAG, maybe their senior year, then we will try and help navigate them towards the community-based program. Or if a student, let's say they need more credits, and graduation, we say, is first. So if you can't take JAG because you are 3 credits short, then unfortunately, we would just have to hopefully direct you to the community-based program or see what else may be able to fit in your schedule. Now, there are one of the campuses in Tolleson has 2 JAG specialists. So they're able to serve more kids on that, more students on that campus. Would it be ideal to have JAG at every single grade level so we don't have a gap? Yes, that would be the dream. But unfortunately, funding doesn't always support being able to do that, because once they leave the Tolleson Elementary School, freshman year and sophomore year, most students don't have JAG unless they're in the community-based program, and then they're able to return junior or senior year.
All right, so touching on that piece. So right now, at least at Tolleson, juniors and seniors will have JAG available to them.
Yes.
But not freshmen, sophomore. Is that a model that you see at a lot of school districts, or is that more of a Tolleson thing?
No, I think it's really about the funding. When a school is able to get the funding, they want it in every single year. They'd like a freshman, a sophomore, junior, and senior year. However, we all know that funding is very difficult to find for programming, for schooling, and so unfortunately many of our schools have to pick and choose. So they want it to be the most impactful, and usually that would then be junior and senior year if they could only have one specialist. But I think it's important to also mention that our graduation rate, and again, we are working with students that the school itself has identified as perhaps having some struggles to graduation, is 99% and has been so for the last couple of years. We've always consistently had a graduation rate of over 90%. And that doesn't mean that they're graduating from the JAG class at this rate. They're graduating from high school at this rate, because we've heard from many teachers in other disciplines about the impact that JAG is having on that particular student in all their classes. So it's very holistic. I think once we start identifying what's the struggle, what are the obstacles for the student, and we've identified and worked through them, they suddenly find themselves doing well in all of their classes, and they see their future, so they really are motivated to do very well in school. And that not only changes that student, it changes families, it changes communities, and we've also been able to see the impact on district itself. Like, it's a little bit harder to see that kind of impact in a school like in a district like Tolleson, because we've been here for so long, so it's just always doing well. But when we see, like, we're in a school 1 year and they've gone from a C rating to a B rated school because we graduated all our students, so it elevated the overall grade of the school, which propelled them into a different whole category of grade level for the whole school. And we've seen that happen in, like, almost every school that we've been into for the first time, where the school itself has just benefited overall. And it's tremendous to actually have a school, and we're not the only reason, but the fact that we work so closely with the districts and it's such a community-based program makes a world of difference, and the impact is tremendous.
So you've covered a lot. JAG sounds like a phenomenal program for our students. But let's talk about on the back end of that. What have you seen as success from the JAG program? Like some of our alumni, like the students circle back with you. Do you keep track of some of them, and you've seen what they've gone on to do in their careers, and JAG's been their foundation? What does that look like?
So there are some JAG stars in this community. One, of course, would be Anna Tovar. Mm-hmm. Mayor Rodriguez was also a JAG student, and now his son will eventually be a JAG alumni, which is super cool because that means that we have generations that are in there. Yes. Diego Espinosa, who helped catapult us when it came to the funding side of supporting this organization and being a champion for JAG. And our very own Nicole Porter, who was a JAG student, and she is currently our marketing director at JAG Arizona. So just to name a few. Mm-hmm.
But they're all rock stars for sure.
All rock stars for sure.
Oh, I know a good handful of those that you mentioned, and yeah, I'll agree with you. They're definitely some rock stars. So JAG is funded through the state, right? We have a statewide JAG funding line that I think some of our previous legislators here for the area were champions of making sure that we keep that funding line in there and keep getting it boosted each year.
Thank you.
But let's talk about how that works. So as you're trying to expand JAG statewide, and I know you guys will know about this a lot more than I do, but my understanding has been that the statewide appropriation for JAG has been pretty much constant, but you're expanding the program. So are we, like, what does that impact look like on the funding side?
One thing we're really fortunate about is that we're funded from different sources, not just the government. We do have some JAGs in different states that it may be completely funded by their state government. I can name a few that
it's just completely 100% dependent on state funding.
Dependent and funded by the state government. They get millions of dollars every year, and they want it throughout the whole state. And our state does as much as it can, I think, and we're so lucky and fortunate, and we were so grateful to stay in the state budget this year, but it's a partial amount. So we have other resources that we have. We have donors, we have community partners, we have our corporations that they see the importance of creating this incredible, diverse workforce for their industry. So they are also donors to JAG to help support the schools. We have a lot of industry in, like, for example, maybe an SRP will fund, they have a plant in a particular town and they want those students to come and work for them and be a good workforce, so they will help fund that school in order for us to do the work that we do to create that strong workforce so that they will have a stronger workforce community in which to work with. So our funding comes from basically a myriad of resources, and we're very grateful for that.
So when we see JAG growing on the statewide level, a lot of that is the efforts that you're making to bring in more business partners, more community partners
Yes.
who are helping to fund that expansion of the JAG
Correct.
program.
We can't expand unless we have the funding. Everybody knows the impact. Well, the people that we work with understand the impact and really are so appreciative of the work that's being done. And we're so grateful for the wonderful partners we have. However, there's no way for us to, we have schools that are like, we'd love to have a JAG, we'd love to have a JAG, we'd love to have a JAG, but we don't have the funding to help create the JAG program. So, without the funding, we can't do the expansion. So they both work hand in hand.
Now, when students are trying to get into the JAG program, knowing that in some cases we're hitting the cap, there's no more spots left, is that like a first come, first serve basis? Like, how are you determining which students, if you get this overwhelming number of students who want to be in the JAG program, how do you decide who's in, who's out?
So specialists, like you said, they work with their administration, they work with the counselors, they work with the teachers on their campuses to, one, they interview students and find out if the students, because if a student is listed on the roster and says that, okay, well, Sean wants to be a part of JAG, and I have Marjorie that has said Sean wants to be a part of JAG, but I talked to Sean and Sean says, I do not. I absolutely do not want to be a part of JAG. I told them I wanted to take band, and I've been in band for the last 3 years. I don't want to be in JAG. I want to be in band. We're going to let Sean go to band. Mm-hmm. So we have to have interviews with students to figure out whether or not they truly want, need, and benefit from JAG. They have to want the program, because if they don't want the program, it's not going to work.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to have a desire to be there. Now, there are some students that are unsure on whether or not they want the program. And the interview allows us an opportunity, to tell the student what JAG is. Because I've heard that JAG, they take a lot of field trips. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of speakers that come into the classroom. However, these are also the things that we do in JAG, and this is the expectation. And the student hears that expectation and says, yeah, absolutely not. I don't want that. So in that case, then we want to open that up for another student. So the interviewing process works twofold, because as you're interviewing us, we may be interviewing you as well. So at the same time, students should have to have a say on whether or not they want to be in a program. So our goal is that we are interviewing students before they come in JAG, but there are some students that we see leadership potential in you. And it just may be that you are going in the wrong direction with that leadership. And we want you in JAG because we feel like it would benefit you. And we ask you to give us a chance. And maybe it's just that the student is a junior and they're in JAG. We hope that they're in JAG for an entire year. So when they sign up for JAG, we hope the student is in JAG for an entire year. But there may be a student, their junior year, they take JAG that first semester and they realize JAG is not for them. Okay. We're not going to force you to be in the program, and we'll help you figure out a different elective. Or it's maybe an elective that you've got now in a West Mech, and now you want to move into this area. Okay, we've had that time with you, and then we'll allow that student to go. But with that, we want to make sure that we are allowing the student to share in wanting to be a part of this organization. And once you're JAG, you're always JAG. You're always family.
You drink the JAG Kool-Aid and you can't.
We are cousins now. Yep. And you are always with us. Students that take JAG their junior year, they may walk away from it, but they can still apply for the scholarships that we have senior year. There are some scholarships that we have that are available to only JAG students. But you've been a part of JAG, now you can do that. Students that have had JAG their senior year, our expectation is that we are going to stay with those students a year after they graduate and support them. And those scholarships, again, still become available to those students that want to go on to post-secondary education or training.
And I have to add that we have such an incredible team. And everybody really works so nicely together, I think. And I think that is a big part of the success as well. You kind of have to like each other and create that family before you could give it to everybody else, right? So I think what we have, we try to share and bring people into our JAG family,
Oh,
all our students.
that sounds wonderful. Our target audience is both our student population, but also our parents. Is there anything else you think that if you're a parent of a high school student or a soon to be high school student, anything else a parent should know about JAG and about why they need to get their student involved in JAG and encourage their student to go look for JAG?
Um, I think we both want to answer that one, but I'll start by saying that, I have two kids, and one of them really does not need a JAG program in her life. She is just a self-starter. She makes amazing decisions. I have a son who really could have used a JAG program at his school. And for parents, I think that your child the most, and when you want to encourage them to maybe have a little bit additional guidance. Maybe they have no idea what they want to do. You see them not really sure about themselves or the world or how they fit into it, and you really want them to have that additional guidance, which is something that JAG does incredibly well for students. And as far as parents, I think the biggest piece of advice I could give to parents is to trust in your child and to know that sometimes um, JAG might take them a little bit away from them. And we have students who have never thought about it before who are now exploring campuses outside of the state. And it's fearful when you come from a family who may not have even thought about college in general. And now your child is coming to you with applications that are taking them to amazing institutions, but they're not in Arizona. It's frightening. I understand that. I'm Haitian American. My parents, I didn't even speak English when I first started school. So even though education was very much a part of my parents' vocabulary, to me, they really didn't know how to do it. They didn't know anything about the steps to take. So I could have really benefited from a JAG program big time when I was in high school. I wish I had a program like that in my life because I really didn't know. I just made so many horrible mistakes along the way. So that's what I would advise parents, is to just trust in the program and trust what you're hearing from your child and try to be as supportive as possible.
Well, that was really good.
Oh.
I think that for parents, I have two boys at home, and one is a high school grad who was a part of the Tolleson community-based one because he did not have JAG on his campus. The other one is a high school senior, and he needed JAG all 4 years. And I say that because he's unsure completely. He has some great skills. Sometimes they get misdirected from the peers that he's hanging out with. So I think JAG would have been a great program to help redirect him on the in-school side of helping him have a group of students that are going to hold him accountable. JAG students hold each other accountable for their attendance, for their grades, because we want to build that team environment. You shared with us earlier that you're a great team player. So in that case, then we want to make sure that our students are doing that for one another and being great team players. And I think as a parent, JAG may not be, like Marjorie has two children that one JAG probably may not have been a good fit for, but the other one it would have. And I would just say, as a parent, investigate the program, take a look at what it is on your campus, ask your student, have you heard of JAG? And if they've not heard of JAG on their campus, then, and you know that your student could use a little bit more guidance with their navigating the college system, and you don't know, it's okay. There is somebody that can help support that. If you know your student does not want to go to college at all, and I know they want to go to work, but I'm not sure what job that they want to have, then JAG would probably be a great place for that student. Or if you have a student that is very shy and in a shell all the time, and you're like, I just wish you would just bust out, because I know that the world is going to receive you amazingly if you could just come out of that shell, then JAG is a great place for your student to be. So it depends on the child. It's not for every student, but the ones that it is for, JAG will help grow them in ways that sometimes, to me, it's been magnificent. I've been with this organization almost in my 24th year with JAG, 2 states. And the reason why I stay is because I've seen the growth in young people that did not think that they could. They saw themselves as, I'm on a route of doing the job that I'm going to construction because that's what my dad did. But you don't even want to pick up a hammer. Like, construction is not going to be the path for you. Let us help you figure that out, and let us have that conversation with your dad, because you're going into the family business, but that's not the route you want to go into. But what dad may not have understood is that you love math. And now maybe you're the one to help keep the books and pay the taxes, and it's not necessarily that you're going to be on the side of the hammer. So JAG is a place for young people to figure it out. And math is focused on math, science, English, all those classes, they have a focus and they have a curriculum they have to get through. But in JAG, we allow those students to explore who they are, explore what the world is, and how they can navigate and be a part in it.
And I think it's even a great place for our specialists, our teachers, because what they do is they have a community of learning, and they get together 4 times a year, and they get to share with each other what are the students experiencing, and they troubleshoot on how to make things better. So JAG is always an evolving program as well. They're always learning from each other and growing and supporting each other. So it just is pretty special. It's a pretty special program.
Yes, it is. And I appreciate everything you guys do for all of our students to help make these opportunities available for them, to help them find their path. And appreciate you coming on the show today to come share this with our families here on the Education Exchange, where we aim to enlighten our parents and empower our students. We've teed off the conversation on JAG, and like they said, investigate, find out more about JAG. Determine if JAG is right for your student. For our students out there, I hope you take a look at this as well and see if this is part of your path. So thank you for tuning in once again on the Education Exchange, and we look forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
And that's the end of our show. Thank you for listening. If you have questions, want more information, or would like to be a guest on the Education Exchange, please send us an email at podcast@tuhsd.org. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and tune in next week to the Education Exchange. You can catch all episodes on your favorite streaming devices or directly at www.tuhsd.org/podcast.